one person hurting another is perhaps as old as history itself and one of its darkest tales. And that sharp pain you feel when a man hurts you, it shakes not only your heart, but the deepest corners of your soul. In that moment of turmoil, the mind whispers the only path it knows. Retaliate, demand an explanation, hold them accountable, scream why. But today, I will speak to you of another approach, one that is deeper and wiser. This path involves recognizing the archetype Bastien Rochefort calls the shadow. Because when a man hurts you, he is actually speaking to his own shadow. And your unexpected response not only confuses him, but also reestablishes you at the center of your own power. This is not revenge or manipulation. It is the art of rediscovering your own worth and preserving your inner peace. Now stop for a moment and think. When that moment comes, when a word, a silence, or an indifferent attitude causes a wound, what do you instinctively do? Do you grab your phone and write a long message? Do you explain everything in detail and tell them how hurt you are? Maybe you call, trying to hide the tremor in your voice, expecting an apology. You beg. You tear yourself apart trying to understand why. These reactions are extremely human and understandable, but without realizing it, you do something else. With every attempt to explain, with every demand for accountability, you hand over the emotional key to them. You say to them, "You control my inner world. One move can destroy me. One word can rebuild me." From that moment on, you are no longer that mysterious, powerful woman in their eyes. You become someone with a button on them, someone they can press whenever they want and drag you into whatever emotion they desire. There is a fundamental rule in psychology. Whoever controls the emotions in a relationship controls the relationship. This is the most common mistake. You think you will gain respect by reacting loudly, but in fact, you are only displaying mismanaged fragility. Remember, feeling pain does not make you weak. Showing your emotions is not a weakness. What makes you weak is allowing those emotions to control all your actions. Think. After an argument, they stop contacting you for the whole day. Hours pass. You can't put your phone down. Every silent minute turns into a scream of rejection in your mind. Unable to bear it, you write that long paragraph, pouring out your heart, complaining, perhaps even begging a little. So what do you think is going on in their mind? They understand this. I don't need to make an effort. Even if I don't take a step, they will come. And it is this understanding that slowly kills respect. Now, imagine the same scenario with a different reaction. He ignores you, and despite the pain inside, you choose silence. You don't respond immediately. You don't exhaust yourself trying to explain. You don't chase after him. You move on with your life. Maybe you have coffee with a friend. Maybe you start a task you've been putting off. Maybe you go for a walk. This contrast throws him off balance. While he expects your anxious reaction, he encounters your calmness. Here's the key. What confuses a man most is not your tears, but your unexpected calmness. Why does this happen? Because when a man hurts you, consciously or not, he seeks feedback to confirm his power. He wants to see if he can control your emotions. When he doesn't get that reaction, another feeling arises within him. Why isn't she texting? Why isn't she calling? Do I not care about her anymore? This uncertainty forces him to act. It causes him to lose the control he thought he had. Herein lies the fundamental lesson. You don't always have to react, but you must decide from which point you act. You have two paths before you. Acting out of fear of losing them, and acting from your self-love, which reminds you that you are whole and complete. regardless of whether they come into your life. When you choose the second path, you regain your power. Another important point. We often fear that if we don't react, they will think we don't care about them. This hurts us because we want them to know how important they are. But respect is not earned by crying or begging. Respect is earned by showing that your life doesn't stop because of someone else's indifference. The most powerful confusion you can create is this, proving that they are not the center of the world. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying swallow your pain, turn into a cold stone. What I'm teaching is to manage the timing and form of your response. When you choose not to react with anger and a warm heart, when you breathe, wait, and give yourself space, your mind clears. Then your response will be much more strategic, calm, and solid. Its psychological impact will also be much greater. Now I'll talk about behaviors that will really surprise him. Confusion arises not from shouting or demanding answers, but from doing the exact opposite of what he expects. Strategic silence. When they encounter nothing while waiting for your response or message, they cannot predict your thoughts. This forces them to confront themselves. Instead of perceiving you as weak, they begin to see you as someone with self-control. Silence is not indifference, it is strength. Carrying on with your life as normal. While he thinks you're paralyzed because of what you did, seeing you as someone who is active, working, hanging out with friends, and taking care of yourself will surprise him even more. Because you break the scenario in his mind that you stop everything for me. Nothing confuses a man more than the fact that your life does not revolve around him. Keeping the storm inside and projecting calmness outward. This isn't about denying these feelings. It's about choosing when and how to show them. When he sees you calm and smiling, your serenity, despite being hurt, throws his mind into conflict. Avoiding the provocation game. Often, a man will make hurtful comments or act cold to test you. If you respond with drama, you validate his power. If you choose not to play the game, his strategy falls apart. Nothing is more surprising than offering peace to someone expecting war. Demonstrating emotional independence. When he sees that you don't need his approval to feel good, that you continue to make your own decisions, and that you maintain your routine. He feels both confused and impressed. These attitudes are neither a game nor manipulation. Set boundaries calmly. Instead of shouting, "I can't stand this," say something short, clear, and firm like, "I won't accept this behavior. If you want to be in my life, it has to be with respect." And back up this stance with actions. Calm but confident statements like this will shake them up more than any scene. Focus on your own life purpose. When you spend your energy on growing, reaching your goals, and taking care of yourself, rather than chasing after them, they realize they are not the center of your world, and this affects them. These are ways to reclaim your power, protect your dignity, and send a clear message. You cannot control my emotions. This behavior surprises them and also teaches them. If you want to have a relationship with me, you must come with different rules. And remember, confusion is not the goal. It is a tool to remind you and him that your worth is not dependent on his behavior. Now let's move on to the most powerful but hardest strategy to implement. Using silence and distance as a tool of power. When a man hurts you, your natural instinct is to approach him, demand an explanation, and talk. In psychology, we know that when you respond too quickly, you confirm that he is in control. Yet when silence and distance are chosen, you gracefully return the blow. Strategic silence sends a message without words. What you did hurt me, but you won't see my helplessness. This silence creates great discomfort in them. Because while expecting reproach and tears, they encounter calmness and begin to question their own behavior. After being hurt, by choosing not to be immediately available, not to respond instantly to their messages, not to accept their offer the first time they hear it, you send this message: my life does not revolve around your decisions. This shakes them deeply. I know it can be difficult, because your heart wants to connect. But sometimes the best way to get closer is to first pull away. Because in that space, they are forced to confront their own behavior. He understands he can't play with your emotions because you don't let yourself be swept away. And that's when he begins to respect you. Silence and distance require inner mastery, not external display. That's why they are powerful weapons. It is learning to put your own calmness before anxiety. It is reminding yourself that you don't have to chase after being valuable. And the more you practice this, the more your energy changes. He senses it, feels it, and believe me, it surprises him more than any speech. So what happens in the end? You regain your dignity. Because when a man hurts you, the first thing that shakes is your self-worth. You ask yourself, where did I go wrong? Am I lacking something? And in this realm of doubt, many people fall into poisonous traps: manipulation, competition, revenge. You may seem to gain power with these tactics, but in reality, you lose. Dignity is regained not by behaving undignifiedly towards anyone, but by remembering your true self. Dignity arises when you choose your own peace and act in harmony with your self-love. You don't stoop to their level. You set boundaries. You don't compete with anyone, and you listen to your inner voice. You speak to yourself with respect and give yourself the value you deserve. Knowing when to leave is also dignity. When you accept that your worth is not dependent on their behavior, you begin to rebuild your dignity. So what about the pain you feel? Turn it into strength. Don't be ashamed of feeling pain. The problem isn't that you feel pain. It's that you believe this pain is a sign of weakness. See pain as a teacher. Instead of saying, why did they do this? Ask, what is this teaching me about myself? Channel the energy of the pain into something that will nourish you. Exercise. Write. Make progress on a project. Every time you say, I will never allow this again, you gain another shield. Pain doesn't have to destroy you. It can transform you into a more conscious and stronger version of yourself. And when the moment comes to respond, do so with grace. Grace lies not in flowery words, but in the calmness of your chosen expression. When drama is expected, you respond with your resolve. Your response is short and clear. You don't explain too much, because few words make their mind work harder, and your actions support your words. Most importantly, your response is not to convince them, but to maintain your own stance. Sometimes the most elegant response is no response at all. Not every attack deserves your energy. Remember, every response is an opportunity to show who you are. So, how can you sustain these in the long term? Developing emotional mastery does not mean not feeling. It means not allowing your feelings to control your decisions. You can feel anger, sadness, and disappointment, but you can choose to act with calmness rather than impulse. Take a breath every time you feel the urge to react. Train your mind with intentions like, my peace is more valuable. When life doesn't revolve solely around one man, the wounds he inflicts remain smaller. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. Make self-observation a daily habit. And remember, your relationship with yourself is the most important one. Because when you prioritize yourself, no man can have the final say about your worth. Eventually, you'll realize that the real goal isn't for him to change. It's for you to never lose yourself again. If these thoughts have added something to your life, like the video, share your experiences in the comments. Maybe you'll inspire another woman who feels alone. Subscribe to the channel for similar deep content and turn on notifications. Remember, your greatest strength is the calm you maintain within, despite the storms outside. And this calm makes you irresistible.